Welcome back to another episode of Opinions from Offside. Michael, unfortunately, is indisposed, so I've brought in man like Beanet. Beanet, how are you?
Yeah, can't complain, won't complain. Yeah, it might be some complaints after today's episode, but I mean that'll be
Yeah.
on me because man like Beanie don't pull up any punches, does he?
Beanie loves a bit of needle. Loves a bit of needle.
Loves a bit of needle.
We've got to talk about it quickly. We'll touch on it. You went to the Portsmouth Leeds game. Thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, it won't be Leeds without us falling apart at some point during the season, so it almost feels a bit more comfortable. Like I feel better in myself actually being in that sort of place. It almost feels like we shouldn't be 10 points clear because I'm always on edgy for like 10 points clear, but actually being in this position. But if you'd have said to me at the start of the season, 36 games in, you'll be top of league on goal difference. And I took it. So it's disappointing that we got beat. Atmosphere was incredible. I know we talked about atmospheres last time we spoke. Fratton Park's the best atmosphere I've been to this season by an absolute country mile. It was really loud, like fair play to Portsmouth. Like, I'm not sure what it's like week on week. I can only judge by what I heard. We couldn't get a word in. They were awesome, like throughout the entire 90 minutes.
Oh, up the Pompey then. Up the Pompey.
Respect. But yeah, fair result. But we still had good chances. So we've got Millwall tomorrow. Let's hope there's a couple of teams that drop points this week.
I mean, I heard Michael Levy likes Millwall.
I mean, I won't tell him that to his face.
Well, he's not here to defend himself, so it's fine.
Millwall, no one likes us. We don't care. Well, you clearly do because you're singing about it.
Yeah, and, well, we won't talk about the horror tackle. We'll move on from that. We won't talk about that. The one on Mateta. Oh, shocking. That was wrestling's big boot. That was. We'll talk about that another time. What a share, Beanie, is we had a little chat earlier when we were messaging about getting you on. You do some work for a football team, Beanie. Explain.
Yeah, I think it's the first time I've told you this. So my mate is the manager of Barnsley Women's Football Club. And start of this season, he gave me a bit of a call. The chairman did, to be fair, asking me if I'd be willing to help out at the start of the season. Didn't know what we were going to be expecting to do. Originally, it was going to be doing like the team announcements and odds and sods at the game and stuff on a match day. It's turned out to me end up being the official media officer of the football club. So I deal with all the social media. I deal with all the website stuff. I deal with all the graphics and stuff. Well, I get a little bit of help, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I am the official media officer for Barnsley Women's Football Club. They're an independent women's club. They're in Tier 4 of the Women's National League, so they play in the Division 1. So like in the same sort of tier would be like your Peterborough Uniteds. We played them this season twice. We played Northampton Town over at Sixfields a couple of months ago. Media team? There were like 10 of their media and just me. Loughborough Lightning. Loughborough, they play Loughborough Lightning in a couple of weeks. Actually, that's not far from you, is it, Loughborough?
No, Loughborough's pretty close. Are you going?
Come to that. Well, I'll be media, so I'll be going to that 100%.
Let me know the date. I'll come.
Yeah. It sound?
I'll game. Well, it's funny you bring up the ladies' football because I want to speak about. I'm going to have to say the team, Bean. I'm going to have to use the name. I'm going to have to speak about Man United.
Well, you know what I call them.
Well,
I'll call them scum. You call them whatever you want.
Well, for this purpose of this, it will be United for now. For you. The reason that it brings it that. No, that's the United. That's the damn United.
Okay, fair.
Well, I don't know if you've seen being media officer for the Barnsley independent football team. Jim Ratcliffe's interview. That's what we're going to talk about. Yeah. I want to talk about some of the things he said. I've got quotes. I want your opinions on them. I know you've heard a few things, but I've got clips. I mean, there's Sir Jim outside United with his begging bucket. You know what I mean? With all branded gear. Let me tell you what he's actually said. Right. So on the Manchester United women's football team, that when he came in, he said he wanted them to do just as well. Ratcliffe's comments about the women's team were perceived as dismissive, which has added to the negative sentiment towards his leadership. He said, talking dismissively about the women's team, sentiment towards the men hailed just 12 months ago as the club saviour has massively soured. Being it, What are you thinking of this whole Man United debacle and this interview?
Look, there's a lot of stuff that he said is a bit ill-judged and a bit ill-advised, and some of the comments, and then stuff that's come out in the press since. And I know you'll touch upon some of it because I don't want to go into too much detail, but they were talking about the women's team and trying to sort of say, well, when they bring in the sort of money that the men's team do, I'll start listening, even though they're more successful. We know that women's game's evolving. We know it's evolving. Look, whatever people think of the women's football game, it's in a transition period where it's trying to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's never been fully up until maybe 10 years ago. It was never a big thing in this country. And maybe it should have been. Maybe in hindsight it should have been. But that team over the Pennines have been a global force in the men's game for years. And
you can't even say the name. It's brilliant.
No, I can't. So, look, they've been a global force. There's no point in trying to not say that they aren't commercially and from a commercial standpoint in terms of the world. They're a worldwide brand, right? But that's taken that was from the early 90s into the 2000s, and it took them decades to really get to that force. Yes, they've been a big club over the historical periods, but in terms of the money and football didn't become a big thing until the early 2000s, late 2000s. Then now there's 5 or 6 teams that have got the financial strongholds compared to others. But that's taken decades. The women's team wasn't a big thing recently. It's only recently since the WSL started to become full-time and the money started to come in, and they're getting more and more successful. But the women's game used to be dominated by Chelsea and Arsenal. I remember Fulham in the early 2000s being the best women's team, and they had a right team. Like, there's a lot of teams that just can't compete financially with the likes of Man City, Chelsea, Arsenal. There's apparently Chelsea players on upwards of 40, 50, 60 grand a week at Chelsea Women's. So it's getting there, but it's going to take time.
Some dough.
And that's the thing is, Ratcliffe can spout all he wants, but having been involved in women's football, the amount that doesn't get put into the women's game compared to the men's game is astronomical. Now, I can only talk about tier 4 because I don't know tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. But the dedication of these women are ridiculous. Like, they go and have full-time. A lot of them have got full-time jobs whilst they're on a potentially pay-as-you-play deal. Some of them don't even get paid. There's a lot of women's teams that don't spend money on players, and it's just dedication. And they're expected to train 2 and 3 times a week, if not more. Look, you and I both know that Ratcliffe has come in with a cost-saving exercise in play. He's not a football man. Never has been a football man. Simple as that.
Well, that leads us nicely to the first thing he said. So I'm talking about the layoffs, right? So let's get this right. He's decided to lay off staff. So I think it's 250 or 450. I think it's 450 been made redundant now from United. Yeah, okay. If you can walk in there and reduce the number of people working there by 450, you clearly overhired, right? I can understand that.
100%.
Get that, right? But the way it's been done, the way it's got about, surely, when you think the whole of the cost cutting is looking to save 15 million a year, 15 million a year in football terms ain't a lot. Like, when you consider they've got Casemiro, right? And I know a lot of people pick on Casemiro, and it's not Casemiro's fault, because if someone said to me, listen, do you want this much a week, and then your leg's going to go and you're still going to be committed to paying it, I'm going to take it, right? I'm going to take 350 a week. But
100%.
You can also look at, you spent 85 million on Antony.
100%. They spent 85 on Antony. They've spent 75 on Hoyland. Luke Shaw's the biggest example of that. Luke Shaw's not been fit for 2.5 seasons. He played. I've
never fancied him, to be honest.
No, he's never been a. I just realised
that took you a second there, didn't it,
Beanie? He's been injured. He's probably played a handful of games in 2 or 3 seasons. That guy's apparently on £300,000 a week. Now, I can't guarantee that he is. I'm not saying he is. So just people could correct me on the chat and stuff. But you're getting rid of 250 members of staff, right? People who potentially have to worry about a mortgage, the kids. I know they've got to worry about mortgages, but I can guarantee you somebody on £300,000 a week isn't worrying about having to pay £600 for a mortgage or pay car bills or insurance and all that sort of stuff to feed the kids on a night time. That they don't have to worry about stuff like that. I know we could talk about the feeding situation and the food situation as well, which is probably another thing that's on the list of
I'm
stuff
a fatty by choice. Fatty by choice, not by nature. I'm this size. I like to eat. Give me my food. I love my food. But with that being,
it's just ridiculous.
I mean, let me tell you what he's actually said. Right. So Jim Ratcliffe's quote is, "We are in the middle of a period of change at the moment. Nobody likes change. It's uncomfortable, and we're in the midst of it." Right. One, he's talking shit. Some people don't like change. I don't mind change. Bring on change. Change for me is a chance to grow, right?
Yeah.
Someone that clever, you should understand this. You can't be worth billions and think that people are scared to change. No, come on, play the game a little bit. We're not all billionaires, but you must understand how it works. You're laying off people to save not even a quarter of Anthony's transfer fee. Now, you could look at that as an example. I'll tell you what, how to pay for these staff, or say you only cut half of them. Say he's done 450, he cuts half. This is the thing that baffles me, and I don't know what you think to this. I don't know if you'd ever consider this. They're looking at building this new stadium, right? The new stadium is going to cost $2 billion. This thing, right? That's what they're looking to build for $2 billion. Why are you only going to use it once every 2 weeks?
They're not using. It's obvious that they're not going to use it for 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, it's not. If you see all the quotes that have been made, that isn't a football stadium. That's not a football stadium. It looks like a circus.
Yeah. Well, some of the players are there. The clowns at the
they are clowns. Yeah, it is like a circus act, to be fair. Some right freaks that play for them.
Wow,
but look,
shots fired.
Tell me I'm wrong. Joshua Zirkzee.
No comment. I plead the fifth.
Sideshow Bob. Sideshow Bob plays for them. Look, the fact is £2 billion, right? That's not coming directly from the club's money as well. They're on about getting grants out of the council or the government and turning this into a northern super hub. Sorry for swearing, but I don't want a super hub.
I don't agree with that. Right. From my opinion, especially Michael will be able to back me up on this, with what's gone on with the Olympic Stadium with West Ham, and the council are now 30 million a year in the hole, losing money on it. Absolutely no chance. Whether you've got cost of living, you're taking up national insurances for people, you're fucking up other businesses that need it. This multi-billion-pound company with its billionaire owners should not be getting grants. You've 100%. Got the place next to you. Either build that as your trading ground, or sell that, or reconvert it into places to live. Whatever. You should not be getting grants for that. You are 100%. unless the council are going to own a percentage of the stadium and get a percentage of revenue. 100%. I'll agree with that. You don't want to build the stadium yourself. I mean, could you imagine if I bought land and said, right, I'm going to build a 4-bedroom house on this with 2 bungalows at the end. I'll sell the bungalows, but I want you to pay for it. Get the fuck out of here.
Exactly.
That's bullshit. It's absolute horseshit.
Look, we know that the London Olympic Stadium is a prime example of taxpayers' money going down. I think it's something like £500,000 a game it costs the taxpayer. Right? Something like that. Michael will be able to correct me. It might be a little bit more than that, to be fair. But you're expecting me as a taxpayer to want to fund that club? Do you know what? Can I have my part of the taxpayers' money that funds that club taken away so I can fund my own club?
Yeah.
Because my club means more to me than that sad shower of... Yeah. I call them scum for a reason.
See, I could understand. I could get it.
Regenerate Manchester, rather.
Well, that's my point.
The people of Manchester, is it?
Yeah. So don't forget, majority of Manchester United fans are not from Manchester.
No, like
that's. I mean, from the people I know from Manchester, a lot of them are in the city, are City fans.
Yeah,
The Manchester United fans come from elsewhere, and I'm sure Everton fans will say the same. Majority of people that live in Liverpool are Everton fans. Well, Liverpool have the biggest surrounding, right? I understand that you're a global phenom, whatever. Probably commercially one of the biggest clubs in the world. So
100%.
don't come to me with your branded gear and your beggar's bucket trying to get money from the taxpayers when you have a company that's, and I'm pretty sure, don't quote me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Sir Jim's not even based in the UK, so he doesn't pay UK tax fully. Don't
I'm
know if
sure
that's
he's
true.
based in
That's
France.
yeah, I heard it was Monaco, but that's what I'm sure I heard someone saying today. And looking at the whole situation, I just think, to me, it makes sense in regards to having a new stadium, right? I get it. Makes sense because Man United have got a waiting list. They could probably fill the stadium every week. But flip it around the other way. He said he's not getting rid of Amorim. He said Amorim's job is safe. Amorim's the man that he wants. Amorim's form at the minute is equal to Leicester's and Southampton's. His point ratios is the same as Van Nistelrooy's at Leicester. I think it's 1.1 per game. That is a relegation form. So
He's
what
doing a
if
great job.
I think he's secretly a Leeds fan, right? I don't even think he's Leeds.
He's doing a great job for me. I don't think we could get any better than Ten Hag. I was wrong. Honestly, Amarim's doing a better job than Ten Hag, in my opinion.
Well, let me bring on to Ten Hag. So what Sir Jim has said about Ten Hag, that he gave him a new contract. It was an emotional decision. Right, let me prove the points of this and tell what you think. Talking shit because you were sounding out other managers. You were trying to get other managers. Don't say it's an emotional decision because why'd you wait 2 months to give him a new contract?
You also paid him off £13 million. You're telling me that you've done a cost saving exercise for 15 million. Right, okay, so you're basically sacking 250 people or making 250 people redundant to cover the fact that you've just given somebody a £13 million payoff because they were shit at the job. I would love, do you know what? If my department, if the business I work in, if they turn around and said to me, do you know what, you're awful at your job, we'll sack you and we'll pay you 10 times what your salary is right now to leave.
Sack
Where do
me.
I sign?
Mate, I'm going to be. I'll be looking for the sack. I'll be sexually harassing everyone.
Honestly,
I don't give a fuck. Get me sacked.
Me and you would end up owning a bar in Tenerife.
Well,
We know that,
as you say that, as you said that, so Jim has said it's his mistake. It was his fault to do that. Right. So let me explain to you what happened. You've seen me working in bars in Lineker's when we first met. What do you think would happen if my till in Lineker's, I've done a full shift, bar's been heaving, been drinking, like as you do, you know, we have to drink on the job, especially if you're there. Juicy's all around. 5. Imagine, so I'm doing that, and then my till's down by £5, right? My till's down €5 at the end of the night. What happens? It's clearly my mistake. It's my till, comes out of my pocket. If you've 100%. Admitted as a billionaire giving Ten Hag an additional contract and letting him spend 180 million in the summer to then go and sack him is your fault. Tell you 100%. What, take the hit for the club, take the hit and go, you know what? I mean, I guarantee you, if I'm a Man U fan, yeah, felt dirty saying it. If I was a Man U fan's friend, and they said, right, so Jim said that he sacked Ten Hag, it was his fault, he let him spend the money, so he's going to reimburse it as his mistake as an owner and put the money back into the club. I promise you, that would barely even touch the sides for him, and every Man U fan will go, right, I back him. I 100% back what he's looking to do.
Yeah.
So why not do that? You're worth a couple of billion. That's nothing to you.
They've taken charge over the summer. So, you know, when you take over, look, I'm not the biggest fan of the Saudis coming in and taking Newcastle over, right? What your opinion in Newcastle is whatever people's opinions on Newcastle or whatever. But to be fair to them, the first thing they did was reach out to the fans and get the fans on side. They made it.
That's how you do it.
And that's how you do it. All he's done has come in and gone, do you know what? I literally do not care about each and every one of you. I'm going to raise the ticket prices. I'm going to make it neon impossible for you to get a ticket. And I'm going to sack 250 people who have been connected with the club. There's been people who have been made redundant, who've been at the club for years. And the only person in that club that comes out with any credit, and I'm going to say it because I don't like him and he's an absolute rat, but Bruno Fernandes, like, I hate him as a footballer because he's a rat. However, he phoned up each and every one of them 250 members of staff and apologised and wished them the best and all that sort of stuff. He's been told he's not allowed to bring food in from he's not allowed to order food for the people. Obviously, they've put a ration on food.
Yeah.
So you can only have a soup and a sarnie if you're not playing staff. He's offered to pay it out of his own pocket. I know he earns a lot of money and he earns a ridiculous living out of football, right? But that's not his fault. He owns that. We've had that same discussion about Casemiro.
No.
Somebody gives you a contract, you're going to take it, but he is willing to pay out of his pocket for other people. And they said no because it creates the wrong image for the chairman. I'm sorry, but the wrong image that you've created is on your own back because you've sacked 250 people or made 250 people redundant, and you've put basic rations in a football club that is worth billions of pounds. You're a global entity and you're having to put cost-cutting savings. I've never seen it like it. I could understand it from a League One perspective, but from a big club like that, who's trying to win fans over, not happening.
I want to play the devil's avocado here. I'm going to have to play the devil's avocado. Bina, your job, do you get food for free?
No.
My job, I don't get food for free. Why should anybody else expect that?
I get that, and it's a fair shout, but you've got to do it. For me, you've got to phase stuff out rather than just go, do you know what, here's a canteen, because he's probably got rid of the canteen staff that were building, that were in it.
See, I agree. I think he should have done this at the end of the year. As they come back, let them go. So guys, just so you know, the free food canteen is going to finish. This is the last year.
Exactly.
Do it at the end of the year. Like after everyone goes off to pre-season and does whatever, where I'm guessing most people will have their holidays because the club will be running minimal skeleton. That's when you do it. But
100%.
On the flip side of it, being the devil's avocado to my own devil's avocado, surely, so the first team staff are the only ones that still get free food. Why? They're the ones that can afford it. That makes no sense.
I know at Leeds they pay for their food, so the players do pay. Because I think it was Patrick Bamford did he does like a My Mate's a Footballer podcast. He was showing his wage slip. So after every month he gets his wage slip, and it comes out, and the amount of money taken out of food is every player has to pay for their own like food. That's the right way to go about it. That's the right way to go about it. You don't necessarily have to take it away, but I can't guarantee that food isn't charged.
Well, what the first team players don't pay.
It should be
100%. The first team players don't play. They're the ones that still get free food. So my point of it is, if you're going to give the ones that can afford it, I mean, if I'm getting, I mean, you could name any United first team player. Pick any United first team player now in top of your head.
Do I have to? Anyone.
It doesn't have to be your favourite. It can be anyone.
Harry Maguire.
He's probably on $250,000 a week. Yeah?
Yeah.
Right. You're telling me his food's going to come to what for the month? At max, 500 quid, and I'm being generous.
Yeah.
Right? If you're putting that through 500 quid and it's an automatic deduction, you can do that before he pays his tax. Right? 100%. So it's the same as a pension contribution. Right? So why not just deduct it straight away from the start and go, right, this is already taken out. If I'm earning 250,000 a week and I'm getting paid monthly, I am not going to miss $2,000 when my tax form or my tax dedications and my national insurance contribution says 125 grand. I 100%. Am not going to give a fuck about that.
I agree.
So why not charge them all, right? And then if you want to charge them all and go, right, guys, it's up to you as players. If you want to pay an extra, this is how much extra it'd be. That means all the staff get free food as well. If you don't want to, it will go no further than this room. If you choose not to, as the captain, Bruno Fernandes, I would say, guys, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. I will do it, and I'll put in anyone else's who won't. It is going to cost him fuck all.
No, and I suspect as a goodwill gesture, it looks a lot better. But it just looks bad because there's obviously a discontent across the piece. Like you've got Ratcliffe coming out with his interview, then you've got the players wanting to do something about it. You've got all these absolute wasters that are on the pitch earning and it's not their fault they're earning the money they are. But let's get into real facts. The budgets that they've got and the money they've spent they should be challenging for a minimum of a top four place.
Well, I want to give you two stats in a minute, right?
Yeah.
I want to tell you. So, of all the teams in the top 5 European leagues in the last, I think it's 15 years or 20, 10 years, Manchester United have spent the most.
Yeah,
Right? Of
don't
all the
surprise me.
teams, right? In addition to that, I want to add something. So, as you've said then about underperforming players, so Ratcliffe has came out and said, yeah, we've overpaid and players are underperforming. And he's named Antony, he's named Rashford, and he's named Onana. How can you, as an owner, call out the goalkeeper that, okay, it wasn't his choice, it was his manager's choice, though, that he gave him a contract to bomb out David De Gea, who, after a year out, is doing bits at Fiorentina, to go and buy a £48 million goalkeeper that you could have got for free, but you chose not to, and then you give him big wage and you say he's underperforming. I'm not being funny. At times, yeah, he's erratic, but you know what you get with him. You know you're buying that
exactly.
because other times he's brilliant. Like his shot stopping, agility, it can be fantastic, and his kicking is a weapon when he can hit it straight. He hit it 3 times out of play on Sunday, which is hilarious. But to me, as an owner, yeah, you have the right to call out your players to them or in the privacy of their group. You don't do it in an interview. You don't do an interview with a former player. That don't make any sense to me. That's not. You need them on side. That's not going to work.
You could tear into each one of the players. You can't. You can single out Onana all you want, but they've got the Harry Maguire and they've got the Dutch Harry Maguire playing for him. Matthias de Ligt is no better than Harry Maguire.
Oh, that's a statement. That's a statement.
I'm telling you now, right? He's awful. He's an horrendous footballer. And the worst thing is, on his CV, he's got Juventus, Bayern, and scum.
Well, I was going to point that out to you. With De Ligt, this is what baffles me with De Ligt. He went from Ajax, where you don't need to defend. He looked a good player, because in that league, you don't need to defend.
You went to be a top player in Eredivisie.
Well, you're too kind. He then went to Juventus, a Juventus team that were dominating and couldn't get in regular, in a team that didn't defend as much and defends as a unit. Then went to Bayern and went to a team which attacks a lot and doesn't have to defend a lot, just have to be good on the ball, which is his thing, and struggled to get in. Now he's gone to United, and what do you expect? If I'm going to buy a defender who's not going to defend, what would I expect? It's like buying Wan-Bissaka and expecting him to change his way and go, right, I need you as a bombing winger now and delivering balls like Beckham. Well, that's not his game. You've proven it's not his game. So
best one-on-one defender in terms of right back. Best one-on-one right back in league, by the way.
He's a monster because he's lightning quick. He's fast and he's very, very, very good at what he does. And everyone raves about him being like. To me, when there was talk of him leaving United, I was one of those. It was before Conor Bradley came to the fore at Liverpool. I didn't think he'd be ready. I thought he'd have to go out on loan first, but obviously he's proved me wrong. Fair play. But I was contemplating, like, you know what? If I'm Liverpool, I'd go and get Wan-Bissaka because he's the perfect opposite to Trent. If we're going to have a lot of the ball, Trent starts. If we're going to be under the cosh, Wan-Bissaka starts.
He can defend. He's an old-fashioned right back. Like, it's unfortunate that the world revolves around overlapping full-backs that can't defend.
Yeah, I think he can. We'll agree to disagree on that one.
No. What I mean is not necessarily certain defenders, but Wan-Bissaka can defend.
Yeah.
And for me, the primary role of a defender should be the first choice. Should be I can defend.
Well, look at what they did for the De Gea. De Gea got bombed out of United because he couldn't play with his feet. Bear in mind, he was a futsal goalkeeper for years, which is basically playing out and playing with your feet. Yeah, it's not the same as like what they want, but you bought Onana who just can smash the ball long out of play.
Yeah,
no fucking sense.
There's loads wrong with that football club. They've spent £75 million on a striker and then brought another one in for 50 odd million, and they're both I'm going to brain cell between them. There's not a footballing brain in them.
As you talk about the money they spent on strikers, I want to talk to you about United's debts. So I don't know if you're aware how much debt they had.
It's astronomical, if I remember rightly.
So they've paid over $1 billion since the Glazers took over, just in interest. Just in interest. The debt's still there, right? So that's crazy. How can I don't understand how? So imagine me. right? Buying a business, right? I'm going to say to you, Beanie, you've got a juicy making business, right? Your business is
Oh,
flourishing, flourishing. It comes in a bottle. The milkman delivers it at night time. It's fine. Great idea.
it's an absolutely unreal idea.
Yeah. I come to you and say, right, Beanie, I want to buy this money. I want to buy this business off you. You say, right, I want 100 grand. Okay, sound. I go to the bank. I want 100 grand to buy this business. Yeah, great idea. I give you the 100 grand. And instead of paying the bank back with the profits from there, I go, right, I'm going to go and get a business loan, take 100 grand based on the property and pay my pot off. So I'm still debt free. Now the business owes the 100 grand and I can just take money out because if it runs into debt, I've got my money out and it's nothing to do with me. That
Exactly.
is outrageous.
I mean,
Outrageous.
it's outrageous from a business perspective, but I also think I'm going to applaud the Glazers. I think they're doing an absolutely wonderful job at ruining a football club.
I was going to say, why would you say that, Mina? Why would you say that?
I mean, the word scum earlier might help. Look, if you're a fan of the football club, they're absolutely destroying it. Between the Glazers and between Radcliffe, they're destroying the absolute soul of a football club. It couldn't have happened to a nicer football club, don't get me wrong. But if it was me on the if the shoe was on Leeds' foot, and I've seen it happen, by the way, we've nearly gone bust probably 3 or 4 times, right? For overspending. We gave Seth Johnson 45 grand a week, having got him from Derby. He was on 4 grand a week at Derby. We only needed to pay him 10 max.
What an agent! What a fucking agent that is! Like
Danny Mills is agent, right? And Danny Mills is an absolute waste of space, by the way. Absolute waste of space. But his agent, he had like an advisor, like a lawyer instead of an agent. And his lawyer went, "You can't harm you by asking for too much money."
Yeah.
Went in with his lawyer because he didn't have a proper agent. I want 65 grand a week. This was in 2000. Peter Ridsdale went, "I can't give you 65, but what I can do is I can give you 45. He only wanted 20.
Yeah. Yeah.
His lawyer went, "Aim for 65. If we get 30, we take it. And we run. We take his 30 grand and we run. But we'll accept between 20 and 25. Give him 45 grand a week." Viduka, albeit Viduka was an absolute baller, by the way.
Yeah, different comparisons though. Because Viduka and Danny Mills, to me, if I'm Ridsdale there, Danny Mills comes into me and says, "I want 65 grand a week." Okay, good luck to you. We'll put you on the transfer list. That's the end of the conversation. It's gone.
I agree.
See you later.
But it was systematic at the time where a bloke was trying to play with money they didn't have. They were giving big contracts to players without the money to be able to do so. We'd had one season at Champions League, and back then Champions League money wasn't sustainable. It wasn't like it is now. You couldn't sustain it. We had to finish third or fourth. We had to finish third in that league 3 or 4 times in a row to be sustainable. We had 4 strikers on 70 grand a week. That's the equivalent now of having 4 strikers on 300 grand a week.
Yeah.
It's not sustainable. It's not a good business model. But the best situation, Paul Pogba. They sold him to Juventus for free because he was out of contract. They then paid £105 million to bring him back. They then told him he was a bad egg and let him go again for free. So who's the bad businessman? They paid £105 million for a player who was a bad egg.
Do you want to hear the best thing? There's talk of bringing him back.
Yeah, 100%.
There's talk of bringing him back. Now, to me, the reason why Fergie wanted to keep him, but he accepted to let him go, the same as Ravel Morrison, as good footballers as they are, they're not the United personality. And
No.
I think there's certain players in the United squad, so like Jesse Lingard, I think he was a similar player, not to the level of Morrison and Pogba, but he had that about him where he wasn't going to be. I mean, bear in mind, he was 28 when he actually left, 28, 29 when he left United. You should be a leader. I mean, I give you the opposite, in my opinion, Danny Welbeck. I fucking love Danny Welbeck. I think he's chilled as fuck, grounded. He does what he needs to do. And can you believe this? Man United were offered Danny Welbeck. They were offered him on loan. Him and Man United and Arsenal were offered Danny Welbeck on loan, and both said no. and he'd walk into both of their teams now. He would do
Yeah, they
absolute
would.
bits for them.
100%. They had him as a youngster and they didn't value him.
Well,
They got rid of a good egg to
yeah,
keep the bad ones.
I think because he was a quiet. He's not. It's not as Levy will say. He's not a sexy name. Danny Welbeck wasn't a sexy name. Then when
No,
you
he
got
won't.
the signings of, I mean, I can understand why they let him go because I think pretty sure at the time they
had a
had
granny shredder.
Tevez. Well, still record all-time goal scorer for the club. You got Rooney, 30 million signing, an old sexy name. You've got a geriatric sexy name. Then you've got Ronaldo, Tevez, Rooney. You had Makeda come out of nowhere and was just like, wow, what a player. He basically won the league like with his 4 games. And then I can understand why they let Welbeck go and he went to Arsenal and he had moments of brilliance against Arsenal. But I just think when they had the chance to bring him back, you've missed the trick to get
You
players
have to
around
bring
you.
him back.
Yeah, like the culture, as when Ronaldo come back and he said the culture is crazy. I've been gone, how long has he gone for? Nearly 10 years? And they've still got the same training equipment at the training ground. Like, what? That's crazy. Crazy talk. But
Look,
I mean,
sign
I
of a
think this
good
is what
club.
Amarin's doing. I think Amarin's doing about getting rid of like Rashford. I think because Rashford, I don't think Rashford's necessarily a bad egg. I just think he is allowed to, I'd say, go sour in that environment. I think United's issue is it's a very bad environment within the training ground, within the club itself. I think that's their issue they've got from the outside.
I agree. I think there's players in that environment who would flourish in an environment that works well. But Rashford's not the type of bloke. He's you don't see him as the sort of bloke that like he's not going to grab a player, but grab a group by a scruff of a neck. He just wants to get about his business and crack on. But if you're expecting him to be the main man, he's never been the main man. He's always threatened to be the main man. He's always threatened to be that world class footballer. He's never ever lived up really. He's had good moments, but he's never lived up to the hype that he should have done. Because when he first burst on the scene as a 17, 18-year-old, he looked like he was going to be a world player of the year at some point.
Yeah,
Never lived up to the hype, and that's because, like you said, the environment it's toxic.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. He wasn't.
And
It never brought out the best in him. You never had those people like, say, think of me like United of old, where you had Keane, your Ferdinands, you had your Vidiches, you had your Giggs, your Scholes, your Beckhams, your Nevilles. These people they were the core of going, right, this is the standard we live by. If you're not meeting the standard, we'll deal with it. If you continue, we'll just get you out ourselves as a group of players. I don't care how talented you are, you're going to go.
look at Jurgen Klopp, right? And I'm not his biggest fan. Like, I know you love him.
All right, David
I'm not.
Coote.
David Coote was right. David Coote was right.
What about James Milner being a legend?
Yeah, James Milner is an absolute legend.
Mate, get me a Ribena.
Boring James Milner, what a guy. I hope he breaks the Premier League record. I hope he gets fit and breaks Premier League appearance record. He's about 25 short.
Go on, James.
But Jurgen Klopp walked into a team, right? And that team had not won anything of note since the mid 2005. Like, get past the Benitez era, you've got a few eras where they've won a little bit here and there, but nothing major.
Yeah.
He went in and he got rid of Coutinho.
Differently with Coutinho, I think.
I got a lot of money for him, but what I'm saying,
I think he brought out the best in Coutinho to start with what he did, and then he kept him for 6 months when we needed him, so we could plan to for the players to bring in afterwards. And then when he sold him for big dollar, and we got the best out of Coutinho before he left. Perfect sale.
I'm not saying it was a bad egg, and what I'm saying is he analysed his squad and realised there was a handful of players that weren't going to get him to the levels he needed to get to him, and he needed to devise a plan financially on sound footing to bring in the players he wanted to bring in, get rid of the players that he could get rid of and still build a team. I mean, that were a masterstroke. Mane, Salah, Firmino.
But Bobby Firmino is got to be one of my favourite players from the Klopp era. Like from Klopp era, I think Bobby Firmino is my favourite. Love him.
He had the Brazilian flair, but he also had that old-fashioned number 9 where I'm going to bully players.
Do you know how he was signed? You know the story about Bobby Firmino. So the Hoffenheim scout used to play Football Manager, and
Oh
he used to
wow.
buy players from the Brazilian second division, and he always used to go, right, this fucking Roberto Firmino is doing bits. And he went over there to actually watch him, and came back with Hoffenheim and went, listen, like, you got to get him. And that's how they bought him for 4.5 million from a second division Brazilian team. And then he went from there to 23 million to Liverpool and just become the legend that is Bobby Firmino. Du, 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 du.
Money.
Du, du, du,
Um,
du, du, du.
look. The fact is the business that they've done in comparison to some of the other clubs. Look, Man City are now falling foul of building a squad that was then get away age. They needed to replace players last summer. They need to replace players over the years and systematically draw people out of it. Like, we know Kevin De Bruyne is a Premier League legend in terms of his ability, and he's a discussion for a Premier League all-time 11. He's always going to be in the discussion. He might not be in it, but he's in discussions.
It could be
The reason,
discussions for 3 positions. He was so good.
yeah,
But yeah, go on.
but he's at the age now where you need to try and phase him out, and he needs to go to Dubai, to Saudi Arabia, earn an absolute £1 million a week or whatever it is that he's going to be on, sign his blank check and earn the money he's going to support him for the rest of his life. But they've never had a manager that, and I know Amarim's going to come in and try and do that. But you're talking players on big money. You're not talking what Liverpool did. They were like, the major thing Klopp did was understand it was time for Gerrard to leave.
Yeah. Well, he offered him to stay, but
he were never going to play him.
he's going to reduce role. And I think that made a huge difference, especially as much as Gerrard to me is Liverpool's greatest player of all time, in my opinion.
He'd be up there in my best 11s that I've seen play. Like,
yeah. Well,
non-Leeds 11.
Well, he won't get in your Leeds team. He'd get in over Olivier Dacour, surely.
No, yeah, of course he would. But let's. I'm talking about non-Leeds players. If I was to pick an 11 of the Premier League that were non-Leeds, it'd be in there. There's no debate about that.
The reason why I bring that up is because as Gerrard as a manager, right, I can imagine him, because if you ask anyone who you listen to any podcast talk about Gerrard, he is a perfectionist. He would be the best in training, the best at everything you could do in anything. He was competitive. And I think with the way Klopp was, because Klopp was very much a loving, listen, I'll give you my love, I'll put my faith in you. I mean, there's a few players obviously Klopp would fall out with, but there ain't many you think of, oh, he's known for falling out with people.
Yeah.
Gerrard has that sort of competitive personality, which made him a great player, but maybe not the best around the dressing room and the best around people. He's brilliant to look up to. That's who I want to aspire to. I want to follow him. But when you need someone around the change room, like this is one of the things they reckon Gary Neville was good about. Even though his last couple of years at United, he was finished playing, he was so good about keeping the standards, keeping people around, being polite to people, and just being there for support. Now, you flip that, and I say this is why I generally think Messi will probably, if he went into management, he'd be good. There's a conversation where Kevin Prince Boateng, I think it's Kevin Prince Boateng, I'm sure it is, where they're talking about Messi, and he basically said Messi's the reason for certain players like Bojan, Ousmane Dembele, who used to get injured all the time at Barcelona, because Messi used to walk around, the dude warm it up, he'd do a little bit of rondo, a little bit of stretching, nothing mad, just wandering around, sit on his phone in the dressing room while they're doing that. He'd FaceTime his family while they're doing that. Obviously, it's Messi. You can't say you can't do that.
No,
you know what I mean?
No.
So these players then started to do Messi's that, oh, I don't need to warm up. I don't need to do that. Dembele at time Barcelona was known for injuries because he was doing what Messi did, because he looked up to Messi. Messi could do it because Messi was a freak of nature, a footballing phenomenon. You can't just do that. You had to. This is what the difference is between him and Ronaldo. Ronaldo is a player who, to me, grafted to what he got. Messi is just naturally gifted that made the most of it. So when you look at players like Adel Taarabt, and you look at players like Ravel Morrison and Pato, you think you could have been there. And I think Messi is the example of naturally gifted players getting to there, while Ronaldo is a player that is grafted to get to there.
He's also
so I think Gerrard would be like similar to that.
He also used to have really shit teeth when he first started, and he had really like bad hair. and he just got better and better.
Listen, being that we're not ugly, we're just poor. That's all I'll say.
Look, it is. Look, they're the two greatest.
I could look
players.
like that.
Oh wow!
You could be Harry.
No, I couldn't.
Sorry.
Oh, here she is. Here she is. Here she is.
Or Alicia.
Back to them lot. The fact is that's going to take an absolutely astronomical amount of money. Who's going to want to buy, realistically, let's get into realism. Who's going to buy the players that they need to get rid of? If you look at all the players that Ratcliffe's named and name dropped, right? And you look at the players that are injured or past it or getting towards that age, right? There's nobody in that club with the exception of maybe Bruno Fernandes. Now, I don't even like him. He's a rat, but he's probably the only one that really hits the standards required to be a player at that club, right? If you go through like majority of their squad, right? Diogo Dalot hasn't had a good season since he was at AC Milan. You're an absolute baller at AC Milan.
Do you agree with that?
He's okay.
Yes, flashes.
But he's not. He's okay. You're never gonna go and go. He's been awful, but you're never gonna turn around and say he was been amazing today. You've got Lisandro Martinez. Everyone calls him like the what was the protector or whatever it is.
Lisandro Martinez.
He couldn't tackle a fish dinner, mate.
He reminds me, right, of Pepe. He's always got a red in him. Like some of the times he's got away with a couple of times this season,
100%.
a couple of 2-footers, and he's always got a red in you. Sorry, not Pepe, Romero. Christian Romero from Spurs. It just can be good, but there's always that minute where you've got a red in you. You could literally there. It's there.
He's not consistent.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what, let me put it to you another way. Let me put it to this way, Bina. Can you think of any Man United player where they could potentially sell them for what they paid?
No. There's
so
one.
You got
maybe
Bruno for 60.
Maybe. Because at the market value at the moment and the prices that are being shelled out for players, I mean, Calvin Phillips went to City for 50 million.
There's talk of him going back to you, isn't it, when you get promoted?
Take him all day, mate.
But what about for Leeds?
If you get him fully fit, if you get him fully fit and you play him where he's meant to play, because look, he's one of these players that when he was in the position that Bielsa created was made for a Phillips.
Yeah.
He'd get the ball from the centre back. His passing range was incredible. In that City team, his job was to pass it to De Bruyne 5 yards and let De Bruyne do the work. Never going to look good. You had him.
I would look good doing that.
I probably would, but you don't get the credit, do you? Whereas Rodri got the credit because he was he's world class. You're not going to get
Rodri did the defensive bit that Phillips wasn't doing, like his position. Rodri's he's the best of his position. He was doing that shield. Well, I think what got Phillips was because he was literally doing short passes to De Bruyne and maybe short ones to Cancelo at the time or Walker. I think he thought, well, I've got to do more. And he wasn't just realizing, right, your job is not to look like a star. Your job is to let these other players look like stars. You've got to take on the Makelele role. And I think that's where he struggled because at Leeds he was the man, where here you are a man.
He played every week. He's super fit every week. He played every week. He was the main man. He was one of the first names on the team sheet. You tell me any footballer that sits on a bench regularly who can be match sharp and match fit at the drop of a hat, it don't work.
Scott Carson.
Yeah, but Scott Carson is an absolute phenomenon.
He has my ultimate dream career.
Honestly, somebody phoned me up now and said, right, we want you to fill English quota. You can sit on your arse and do absolutely nothing. You might have to kick some balls to a keeper a couple of times and maybe just shake hands with people and you get to lift trophies. Where the fuck do I sign?
He's 25 grand a week.
Is that what he's on, 25?
25 a week.
I'd take 10, me. Just a bit of a plug, anybody that's looking for one. I used to be a striker. I can play in net if you need me to.
I'll take 5 and I'm a footballer. I'll play in any position.
In fact, if I'm being really honest, I'd take $1,000 a week at this point.
You know what? I'll match you. Done. Deal. Fuck it. We'll split it.
Yeah, 100%. All I need is my weekends during international break. Just don't expect me anywhere but Tenerife. Done.
I'll do overtimes that weekend. It's fine.
Yeah, sound. Like,
I'll do all the meet and greets. I'll do all the match of the day interviews with Gareth. It's fine. I'll do them all. I'll do them
could
all.
you imagine? How you doing, Paul? A man like Beanie
Yeah,
sitting on
man
the
like
bench.
me here.
Imagine, like you're playing PSG in the Champions League, and the last person on the team sheet is number 97. Man like Beanie.
Man like Bina. Like, I'll be expecting some
But
tickets.
honestly, you can have them all day long. But look, there, there is only Bruno Fernandes who would probably get what he would have paid for him, and that's because he's probably is good enough to play for a lot of the teams in this league and probably in Europe. And I don't really like him because I think he's a rat man, but he's carried that squad over the last couple of years. And credit where credit's due, he's an half decent footballer.
Yeah, yeah. I'll give him his dues. What he's asked to do, he does. But let me put it this way: we'll cover up, finish this, and we'll have a little rant off you, Bina. I want to cover this up too. So, Manchester United are at the point
Yep,
where they could be losing Kobe Mainu, right?
yep.
Now, I don't know if you've seen the game on Sunday. I know you were at the Portsmouth Leeds game on Sunday, but the game, the Man United brought on a centre back called Heaven, I think it was. He was really, really good. Really, really good. I think he was
Young
17 or
lad.
18. Yeah, really good. Very impressive. If I was Delict, I'd be worried. Like, he was that good. And you can tell he's quite wiry. The minute he fills out, he'll be bullying people.
Yeah, yeah.
He looked really good. So you got Heaven, take him out. Say he goes. Mainu goes. He apparently wants to go and play abroad. So say Mainu goes to. I think he thinks he's going to go to Madrid. He's not. But say he goes to Bayern Munich or Dortmund. I could see him going to one of those two.
A
Then
Dortmund's
Bruno
probably a good
Fernandes.
fit.
Yeah. And then Bruno Fernandes goes to Bayern Munich, right? Next year, Amarin gets the money to bring in. So he's got, what would he have? He'd probably have 30 million from the Fernandes sale, 30 million from the Mainu sale, and then say 10 million from that. So he's got 70 million to invest in that squad. Can Amarim, doing what he's doing now, keep them in the Premiership? On a genuine
No,
level, can he keep them in the Premiership?
not with a backbone that contains Delict, Casemiro, and Anana, and Xerxes or Hoyland. They
Right.
sound like make-believe players.
So let me flip it round to you. Leeds get promoted. Man
We
United
beat
are
them.
having a fire sale, right? They're having a fire sale. Are you taking Harry Maguire for 10 million?
I am, yeah, 100%.
Would you take Onana for 15?
I'd rather have Ilan Meslier in net, and that's
No,
saying
you wouldn't.
something.
No, you wouldn't. Don't lie.
No, I'm not having that.
Listen,
Sorry, no. We've already got a mistake-ridden keeper.
think about it.
We've already got a mistake-ridden keeper.
All right, you can have David James.
Do you know who I am taking? Who's been linked to it? Nick Pope.
I think Pope's done.
No, what? It might be, but he could give us a couple of seasons.
No, I don't think he could. I think if you really wanted a keeper, I think you've got to be.
Carmen Kelleher.
I don't think you've got the pull for him. I think he's going to go to West Ham, if I'm honest.
I know he's good enough, but then there's two really there's one really high profile keeper. That Ariola gets paid an absolute bomb.
Yeah, but he's going to go. He'll go this year, and I think Ariola's on 160 a week. I think Ariola go. It's the talk is of going on loan to West Ham for a year with an option to buy, and Liverpool have a buyback option because then we'll have Mamardashvili and Alisson, or there's talk of him going to Juventus.
Who plays Alisson or Mamardashvili? Both first choice keepers.
After Alisson's performance against PSG, Alisson's number one. It's your job to take his space. But
I agree.
Mamardashvili is 23. He's the future.
Do you know who I'm taking in net then? Tom Eaton.
I'd have took the Turkish goalkeeper, the one that had the game in the FA Cup final. So
we've had this discussion.
Yeah, but he's not Galatasaray. He's just Turkey.
He might be.
Listen, we all eat kebabs. You can't blame Luke Littler.
No. You can, little scum bastard.
Right, so
Warrington Wolves naming a fucking stadium after him because he's frozen
one
daft for
day.
living.
Hey, it's harder than it looks.
That'd been funny, but we got taught to look after his kids different. He took his son to pub at 2-year-old, I got told in society that's wrong. What the fuck am I doing right then? If that kid's a prodigy of darts, he's had a beer belly since he was 13. I know I've
Apparently
got a
his
beer
brother's
belly.
better. Apparently his
Apparently,
brother's better. Yeah, apparently his brother's better.
but apparently he's good at FIFA. I don't give a shit, mate. You're a virgin. Shut up. All right, can't stand Luke Layla. Fuck Luke Layla.
I'm going to put you on the spot. So, have you seen the Mulby effect?
No.
Right. So, the Mulby effect is we give you the option to take 3 characteristics from a team or a player and then put them into one player. So, to give you an example, if I was going to build my ultimate left back, I would have Ashley Cole's work rate, the attacking prowess of Roberto Carlos, but the defensive awareness of Maldini to build my ultimate left back. That's what I'd do.
Not Ian Hart's left foot.
Unfortunately, no, because Carlos could hit a free kick.
Fair. Yeah,
so,
fair. But that one season, Ian Hart was unplayable.
So I've heard.
I'll die on it. I'll die on my sword for that.
Unless you had pace, and then he struggled.
It was shitting, but that was the one season he got done over. Season after, that one season, Champions League season, he was best left back in the world. Honestly,
listen,
tough take.
It is. I've got 2 things to check with you there, Speeder, right? We'll come back to Ian Hart, don't worry.
Right, let's go Mulby effect.
The Mulby effect. I want you to take any 3 features from any 3 Manchester United current players to put into your Leeds team right now for your promotion. So, to give you an example, I would probably go with, not watching that much of Leeds, I would probably say, I would probably look towards a centre midfielder. I'd probably go with Fernandez's vision.
Yeah.
With Ugot's work rate.
Yeah.
And I'd probably put in Casemiro's experience to put your midfielder in. Who would you put? You can pick any position. You can take any part of the players you want. Who are you having? Pick the 3 and what you're taking from them.
We'll go for number 10. So that's the only thing that's really missing from Leeds. Garnacho's skill.
Okay.
I'm clutching at straws at this point.
You are clutching at straws now.
Bruno Fernandes is
leadership, looks.
Yeah. No, he's a rat man.
Wait, leave Splinter alone.
I ain't got an answer for that. So we'll go.
So you definitely got Nacho.
No, do you know what? I quite in the right team with the right frame of mind and the right sort of structure. Garnacho's not a bad footballer.
If I was going to go for a 10, if I'm looking for your 10,
I'll go for Garnacho's flair.
Yeah.
Fernandez's work rate.
Bruno Fernandez's work rate.
Because I think he works hard for the team.
Okay.
Oh, should we see? Look at his face. Look at him. No, look. I'm trying to clutch straws here.
Listen, if you sound like Ange Postecoglou, you sound nervous and worried, bro.
I am nervous and worried because, if I'm being really honest, none of their players I would like in my team. If I'm being brutally honest.
So you know what I'd go if I was looking for a 10 for you, right? I'm looking for a 10 for you. I'd go with Garnacho's dribbling.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'd go Fernandez's set piece.
That's fair.
And I'd go with Mainoo's work rate.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I've got a player that can hit a free kick who's got a bit of skill and ability, but he's not scared of putting the graft in. That's where I would look at there.
I mean, I'd go for Rashford's ability to leave the club and do better.
The same with McTominay. Same with Anthony. Oh dear. Oh dearie me.
Honestly,
dearie me.
If I'm being really honest with you, I wouldn't like any of them at the club. They're all vile. They're all toxic. The club's rotten from the core, and I'm all here for it.
So, on the last part, Bina, you're going to love this. Yeah. This is going to put you really on the spot. I've got 2 questions to put you on the spot. Yeah. In regards to the Barnsley team,
Yeah,
No, in fact, there's three questions. The Barnsley team. The first one is, you know what's coming. If they played Man United, who's winning and what's the score?
Barnsley 7-0.
7-0.
And I'll plug it as well. Jodie Snelson with all 7 goals.
Right, that was going to be my next question. Who is your favourite Barnsley women's player?
Oh, that is a toughie.
Oh, I've done you. And I know that Alicia doesn't play for them. I checked. Who is your favourite?
Oh,
You don't have to say why. You can explain it to them.
if anyone watches this, well, they're all going to watch it because I'm going to plug it. But
I'll tell you what. Stop. I'll tell you what. We'll switch that.
No, do you know what? I'm going to say it.
Are you going to go for it?
I'll do Jodie. Look, she's my favourite player to watch because she can play in any position in the team and she does a job. My favourite person at Barnsley is the manager. I'm going to be impartial because he's my mate.
But Jodie Nelson, you said?
Jodie Snelson.
Snelson, sorry, right. So Jodie Snelson is the one. We're going to watch out for Jodie Snelson. Right, okay, fair enough.
She's top scorer in league, top scorer in our team, sorry, and she is one man of the match away, a player of the match away from being the best, officially the best player in the league. And the person who's currently top is somebody who should really be playing at. She's 39 years of age, and she's arguably the best player in the league. She could play at a higher level. And she's epic every week. She comes in ready for battle, like unreal footballer. But obviously, I've got to give some honourable mentions as a captain, Bean Clark. She's been there. She's from Midlands. She's from the Nottingham area.
Wait, you said woman like Beanie?
Her name's Bean.
Woman like
Serena
Bean.
Clark. Woman like Bean. So Serena Clark, captain. She's incredible. Centre back, Eve Marshall. Centre midfielder, Maisie Nord. Abby. I could name them all, to be really honest with you, because they're all incredible. They all work hard, and I'm absolutely inspired by a lot of them because they work Monday to Friday, Monday to Saturday, Monday to Sunday. They've got loads, they've got work, and then they're literally travelling to Barnsley, some of them for an hour and a half each way to come and train on 2 or 3 times a week, do all the media stuff. I ask them to do all sorts of training. Whenever I go to training, I ask them to do videos and stuff. I ask them to do all sorts in terms of, can you come and wait for an hour and do like some interviews with me? I had Bean and I did it's very difficult for a player to play 100 games for a club in that level because of and she made her 100th appearance and she sat with me for 45 minutes to do a podcast. It's incredible. What a woman.
It's man like Beanie. You can't say no to man like Beanie.
I mean, I hope not, but like, look, it's an incredible club to be involved in, and next season, hopefully, they can mount the mid-table in this league so far this season. But hopefully, next season they can mount a serious challenge to get into Tier 3, and that's when
how many teams go up?
So I think there's one in this league because there's like split into there's North, Midlands, and South, and we're Midlands because we play out of Sheffield. I know it's Barnsley, but we play out of Sheffield because of politics or whatever. But
yeah,
geographically, we're in the Midlands League, and it looks like we're going to be in the Midlands League again next year because Doncaster Rovers, Bells are getting relegated, and so is Stourbridge. Now Stourbridge is Birmingham way. Doncaster would be technically classed as the North, so I think we're not going to have to. If we're in North, we'd end up playing like Leeds, Huddersfield, Halifax, the other Barnsley, so the actual affiliated men's team. Who was shit, by the way. I shouldn't say that, actually. That's harsh because I'm the media officer. But do you know what? We played them in a cup at start of season and we had half a team missing. And we'd had a really bad start to season. They beat us 1-0 with a shank of a goal. We played them now, we'd batter them.
Well, I am looking forward to coming to this Loughborough game. You'd have to keep me informed. I'm definitely up for that.
23rd of March, we play Loughborough. Right. Loughborough, best team I've seen in league. They're top of league at the moment. So they play out of Loughborough University's pitch because it's made up of a lot of ex-students, and it's where I think Derby have trained there a few times over years. And,
I've played there.
I once went to go watch Leeds play Real Betis there.
I think that wasn't the game. That was a different game. I remember we played a pre-season friendly against Paul Pogba's brother, Mateus Pogba, when he played for Crewe. And
Mateus Pogba.
He was dreadful. Right. On that, been a great episode. Been great. I love the Barnsley ladies. I've got one question for you, and I don't even want you to explain. I want a yes or a no. I don't need any explanation. Okay. If you want to explain, you have to wait till next time. This is the
Or can
scenario.
anyone have a China comment?
Manchester United will get relegated into the Championship, but Leeds miss out on promotion, so you play them next year. Are you taking that, yes or no?
No.
Right. Okay. On that, Bina, it's been fantastic bringing you on. As always, it's great. Love this. Big Snelson, you've got a new fan, right? Snelson, I'm gonna be searching out on YouTube, seeing some of these goals. I want some stuff from you, Bina. But until next time, on Opinions from Offside, we'll catch you later. Bina, see you out, baby.
Ratcliffe is a fraud, mate. Absolute fraud.